Welcome to the Sports Card Lessons podcast with me, your host, Ken. I'm a retired teacher documenting my hobby journey here on the pod, finding teachable moments to share with all of you along the way. Don't forget to hit me up on social media on Instagram at sportscard_lessons. Hit that follow button. And you can also watch these episodes on my YouTube channel, Sports Card Lessons. If you like what you hear, please like, definitely subscribe, and most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. Welcome, everyone. How is everyone doing? Wow. Welcome to episode 40. And this is still season 1, episode 40. My goal this season for season 1 is to hit episode 50 and then start out 2023, season 2, episode 51. So I'm on track. Fingers crossed. Things are going to run smooth and we're going to get 9 more episodes down after this. Huge shout out to all the listener comments from last week's episode. 39 episodes. And last week by far was the most comments, the most feedback, people just responding to a single episode. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. A lot of good conversation, a lot of back and forth. People just tell me what they're doing, commenting on my strategies. So definitely, I appreciate all the feedback, all the comments. Please keep them coming. Fantasy football this week, 2-3. That infamous 2-3. That one team that keeps losing in the same league week after week. I went back and looked at this over the weekend. I started 2-0, and now I've lost 6 straight games. 4 of them by less than a point. 4 of those 6 by less than a point. One by 5 points, one by about 9 or 10 points or 9.5 points. And I looked at the points for, and up until this week in that league, I had in 10 teams, I had the most points for. I just got passed by the team in first place after this weekend. But up until that point, I had the most points by any team, but also the most points against by far, like almost 250 point difference to the next team for points against for me. So just unfortunately, if you look at these numbers, each week I'm getting everyone's best week. Every team that I played that I lost to these last 6 games was their best week to put numbers up, against me. So I still have faith. I'm in eighth place out of 10, and there's still plenty of games to go. If I can get hot and go on a streak, I can make the playoffs, and I say that every week. That's all I need. The other 2 leagues, I'm in first place in one league and tied. It's a 3-way tie. It shows 5th place, but there's 3 of us all with the same record. So I'm tied for 3rd place, even though it shows me in 5th place. On episode 37, State of the Hobby with Sports Card Therapist, we dropped the same episode that week. And I talked about the Hofstra show, and I told the story negotiating with a guy for my Brady Bowman Chrome BGS 9, and his best offer was $2,700, and I passed. And he found it at the show, and he brought it back, and he showed me. It wasn't anything negative at all. He just came back and said, "Hey, look, I got it." And this past week, someone commented on Sports Card Therapist podcast, just to let me know that the comp of that card is now $2,400. And I passed up $2,700 a few weeks earlier. And I felt like it was almost insinuating I made a mistake and I should have sold it for $2,700 when I had the chance. Come on, man. Why? Why would I sell an iconic rookie card of a proven GOAT for a loss? Because he's struggling this season when he really should have stayed retired at the end of last season. But he came back and he's struggling, and some of his prices have come down. And trust me, it's a good time to buy because he's a proven GOAT. It doesn't matter how this season ends up ending for him. Whether he makes a run, they get on a run and go to the playoffs, or it just fizzles out. I think most people expected great things from him, but the majority felt he probably should have retired. And not just on him, because I think he still probably has more talent than a number of other quarterbacks in the league, but I just don't think he had the supporting cast around him. I think the sign was on the wall. The writing was on the wall when the coach retired. I think he should have left with it. That card looks great in my case. I mean, on this wall right behind me, when I go to shows, it's always front and center. It's always in the center of this case. And I talked last week about moving certain cards around and other ones have their home. That Brady card has a home right in the center of that case. I'm not in a big hurry to move that card. And it was almost as if, they were saying, if you knew then what you know now, but I did. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I've been saying this. I've been saying this all year. I've been saying it through the spring with football, that last year I watched the prices drop, and I knew whatever football I didn't sell by the time kickoff came, I was probably going to be holding on to it because the prices were going to come down. So I knew the prices were going to come down. And I had missed the window on that card. If you remember, I didn't pick up that card until I'm not sure if I had that at National or not. I think if I picked it up maybe just before National or just after National. I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. But I didn't have that card that long, so I had a small window to move that card at a good comp price that would have made sense for me. But when that window closed, it became eye candy in my case at shows, and it became eye candy in my case behind me. And that those values are going to go up again. I mean, it's Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady. And for the inquiring minds that want to know, I did look up the value of it before I started taping, and Alt has it at $2,622, and Card Ladder has it at $2,399. And I am sure within the next year, those prices are going to be well over $3,000 on that card. Today's episode, staying diversified. We all know if we put all our investment capital into one stock or one sector of the market, things could go really bad. Or even if that sector of the market goes down, then you're just down. You have nothing else to balance it out. So that's why most portfolios are diversified. Different stocks, they're in different sectors of the market, right? It's so if one's down, one's going to be up. It's not, I mean, if everything comes down, it comes down, but for the most part, you'll see there's just checks and balances. Things are up, things are down. I spent more time and money last year prospecting, more than I should have. And I know that I talked about that on here with ripping wax, getting into breaks. It kind of put me in a lane that I almost found difficult getting out of. And what do I mean by difficult? Because I'm not going to say it becomes addicting, but once you start chasing anything, it's hard to stop. And, if you're on the hunt for something and you can find it and you get it, it's exhilarating. And then you want to do it again, and you want to do it again. And I always say, from this podcast going all the way back to episode 1, the worst thing that happened to me was hitting the Patrick Mahomes on card auto of a card I haven't even gotten yet. I'm still waiting for Panini to send this card, the midnight signatures. But that was probably the worst thing that happened to me, because almost like little bit of chasing that throughout the whole year, and I've gotten some great cards and breaks, and I've shared a lot of these cards with you. But at the end of the day, was it the best way to go about getting these cards? No, I mean, just going out and buying these cards. If I would have just taken the money, it would have been cheaper for me just to buy these cards. So as I travel through my hobby journey, I find myself reflecting and really understanding that I need to diversify. I need to start diversifying my collection, what I'm going to be selling at shows. And what do I mean by that? I mean putting more than just football out there. Like football has been my big lane in this hobby. Um, I don't really do anything with basketball. I really don't do anything with baseball, although I've had those cards in my cases. I have some basketball cards now in my case, that I purchased because the comps were right at the time. And I knew with basketball season right around the corner, it's possible I could move these cards for a little bit of a profit. It was nothing when I bought those basketball cards. It was nothing that any player, I had no connection to any of the player or the card. And you don't even see it in my case behind me. They just stay in my case that I take back and forth to the show. And hopefully I'll move these cards, right? But it's a little bit of diversifying my case at these shows. So when people show up and all they see is football, they want to just keep moving on. So I want to have different things in there. I want to try to appeal to more people in my case. And then when it comes to my PC, the same thing. I talked about hockey. I grew up playing. I played hockey my whole life. I coached hockey. I have great hockey stories from going back from being a kid, growing up with, the NHL. My parents being from Montreal and going up there and going to the old Montreal Forum and watching the Canadians play and things like that. And really, kind of my roots in collecting, when I started pulling a lot of this stuff out that I collected many years ago, it's all hockey based. And then I put it away because I didn't see much of a lane in this hobby at shows and things like that for hockey. I saw a lot more money moving with football. Like football was very hot, and I'm as you hear me start every episode of my fantasy football, love fantasy football. I've been involved for many years. I watch all the games on Sunday and on Sunday afternoon and Sunday night and Monday night and Thursday night and Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day. And whenever there's a good game on, I'm watching it. Right. So I was like that with hockey for years, especially when I was coaching and my kids were young, and we watched a lot of hockey. And somehow I kind of drifted away from it because hockey hockey was a sport that became to me that I would watch the playoffs. So every year I would tune into the playoffs because every night, I mean, I think it's similar to baseball. Every night there's 5, 6 games on every single night, right? So you could never possibly watch all those games. Um, I was a fan of the Canadians. I was a fan of the Maple Leafs. Just with that little bit of Canadian heritage. So it was tough to watch those games here unless they were playing the Bruins, unless they were playing the Rangers. When the Hartford Whalers were here in Connecticut, I used to go to all the games. Loved going to those games. When my youngest son was done with hockey, I lived close to Quinnipiac College. I went over and got season tickets to Quinnipiac, and then I started following the college hockey. I started going to all those games, and then I found myself drift away from that too. But one of the things that I don't drift away from is what's inside of me, right? And when I go and I'm going through all my stuff that I've collected for years, and I'm pulling out, all kinds of autographed hockey cards. And these cards are from the 80s, 90s, right? And then all these cards from the 70s that I just boxed up years ago and left. But now I'm really starting to get involved back in hockey. So I'm starting to widen my lane. I'm starting to do a little bit more in hockey, and I'm enjoying it. And if you look behind me, you see a lot of Wayne Gretzky cards up here, second year Gretzky's, but that's fine. I mean, they're all graded, and that's when I was watching hockey. That's when I was very involved in hockey. So the players like Gretzky and Lemieux and these are people that I was watching. And I don't have any trouble, and I know about them. I can go talk about them. So if I bought them and I put them in my case at a show, I can certainly talk about them. The new players, I'm still prospecting. I'm going to tell you, I'm not prospecting. So a lot of these new younger players, I do my research. I see, who the hottest players are right now. And if I can find a reasonably priced PSA 10, I'm going to pick it up and put it back in the closet, and just hope for the best. So I'm not completely get away from prospecting, right? But I'm going to tame it way down. I'm staying away from breaks. The wax that I'm buying, I'm not ripping. And I've talked about this too, that I'm boxing that up and it's more of an investment right now. It may be worthless. I mean, the wax I'm buying now, it may be worthless when I hear people talking about the numbers and the overproduced cards of this year. At the end of the day, they may be worthless. I don't know, but I'm still going to hold on to them. Maybe not valuable next year, the year after, maybe 10 years from now, maybe 5. It could be next year. I don't know. And it could be never. But I made a decision to buy those boxes of wax, and instead of ripping them, I put them away. So the thrill of finding or getting those boxes are still there. It's just I've been so disappointed opening boxes up, not finding anything inside and saying, "Oh my God, I paid 30, 40, 50 or $100 for this box and I opened it up and I didn't get $10 worth of cards out." So instead of that disappointment, I'm not doing I'm just the thrill for me now is just finding the box of wax and then putting it in the closet. I'm buying more cards of athletes that have retired, right? We talked about the Gretzky behind me, Mike Tyson, just people that growing up that meant a little bit to me that I was a fan of, that I would watch, right? And I'm also kind of dipping into some other sports. The men's soccer, obviously, um, I think I have 15 or 20, graded soccer cards that I have accumulated over, I want to say 7, 8 months, just knowing that the World Cup is coming in a few weeks and possible that these cards could get pulled out for that. Some women's soccer. I've been buying some. I've talked about buying some women's soccer cards and getting. I'm getting a lot of these graded. So I'm buying cards that are raw, and I'm going to send off to get grading. But some of them, like a Mike Tyson card, I'm getting it's. I know it's not coming back at 10. I'm cleaning that card up the best I can. I know it's not coming back at 10, but that card's for me, right? That card is now going to be graded. It's going to be encased. It's going to sit on the shelf behind me. So whether it comes back a 6, a 7, an 8, a 9, or even a 10, it doesn't matter because that card is going to be for me. It's going to be my card. It's going to be my PC card. It's not a card that I'm going to go drop in my case at a show. Now, there may be some Mike Tysons that will be in my case, but there'll be a handful of them that I've worked my way up to get to that I consider my prized possessions. They're not going to make it to the case. I had a YouTube comment from I Don't Text saying they were buying raw cards and sending them out for grading, and they felt that was their lane now. I don't want to say their lane, but their strategy. That was their strategy to my strategies that I listed last week. And it's a great strategy. And I've done the same thing. I sent out yesterday an order to PSA, just under 30 cards to PSA of mostly cards that they're just for me. Right? There's some women's soccer, there's some men's soccer there. There's some modern hockey. I don't want to say vintage hockey, right? Because I think saying vintage hockey makes me sound old because it was when the players I was watching, and I don't even know if you consider that vintage, but some 80s and 90s hockey, some boxing, just a mix of things that I'm creating for myself. I'm diversifying. I'm not just buying. I've spent a ton of money on football, and I don't think there's really a need to spend any more on football right now unless I'm moving up, unless I'm taking my Brady Bowman Chrome and I'm upgrading that from a BGS 9 to a PSA 9 or a PSA 10, something like that. But I don't think there's really any need for me to be buying much football right now. The prospects out there right now, I'm not big on. I did send off 2 cards for grading XRC's Aiden Hutchinson, the defensive player for the Lions. He was the number 1 pick last year in the draft. And I just happened to be able to pick up 2 XRCs and I sent them off. One of them I'm going to keep with the rest of my XRCs, and one will probably end up in my case for sale. Not a big dollar item, right? They're definitely not a big dollar item, but I had 2. I'm going to keep the best of the 2 and I'll sell the other one. Like I said earlier, I'm buying some graded hockey rookies. I actually have 2 right here that just showed up in the mail within the last couple days. They're both young guns. One is a Lucas Raymond, and if you're on YouTube, I'm just holding that up there. It's a Lucas Raymond PSA 10 Young Guns. I have a Moritz Sider Young Guns PSA 10, and I purchased 3 or 4 other PSA 10s that I'm waiting to show up here. And again, I mean, it's not breaking the bank. It's not breaking the bank. Just getting, the hot young rookies, get them now in a PSA 10, because when, after this year, who knows where their prices are going to be. Right now, I find it to be really reasonable. I was purchasing hockey just before the season started, and now I've noticed I see some of the prices going up. I'm also looking for some discounted goats in other sports like tennis and golf. I have a bunch of tennis cards, all PSA 10, of all the goats that I don't even talk about. You don't see them in the case, I don't take them out. I'm going to be moving soon. I'm going to be building a new office. I'm hoping to have bigger shelves that I can display more of these PSA 10. As you can tell, I'm kind of a PSA 10 snob, right? I mean, why not? Why, if you're going to buy a card, and the prices are reasonable, why not just buy the 10 and get it over with? And for the amount of, well, obviously not on goats, but any of the younger players, for the amount of money that I would spend on boxes and opening them and send cards off to PSA hoping for a 10, it's a savings just to go out and purchase a PSA 10. I still have my Pop Century cards. Haven't mentioned those in a while, but love those cards too. A few of them went off to grading as well. And I have my Stranger Things cards. Haven't talked about them in a while either, but I still have those. I'm waiting for the new boxes. I think they're supposed to come out in December. I don't know if they've been pushed off like anything else, but waiting for those to come out and see what my national, convention 18 card set, where the prices go on that. The hobby should be fun, right? It shouldn't be stressful. It's supposed to be fun. That's what a hobby is, right? A hobby is it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be about making new connections with fellow collectors, right? Just reaching out to people, talking to people, like-minded people. I've been noticing lately on Instagram and Facebook. I mean, people are just downright mean in the comments. I mean, just downright, like, I say to myself sometimes, man, is this just a hobby or what? Like, and I don't know if maybe because the hobby's down and people are the prices are down and people are getting irritated. But at the end of the day, it's still a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. And if it's not fun, I mean, you got to figure out how to make it fun. If this is what you want to do, you have to figure out how to make it fun. It needs to be fun. Right. It needs to be fun. It needs to be relaxing. That's, I should have went out and looked up the definition of a hobby, but I'm sure relaxing and disconnecting from the rest of the stuff in your everyday life to just to kind of enjoy yourself. Being diversified for me, it's just a way for me to spend my money more wisely on things that I love, right? I just talked about. I'm able to meet new people all the time with the same interest. I'm messaging with people. And I know this may get redundant. I talk about this all the time, but I think it's something pretty special. And I think if you're in the hobby and you're not doing that, you're not meeting new people and you're not talking to people, like minded people, depending on whatever cards that you're interested in. When I post a Mike Tyson card, all of a sudden I had like 8 or 9 people message me like, "Oh my God, I love Mike Tyson." And now these people, like, whenever they'll post one, I post one, somebody else, we're all messaging back and forth. So all of a sudden there's just a small group of people that I never knew existed. Now I talk to them on a weekly basis, or daily, weekly, maybe every few weeks. Going to shows, people I set up with. I got a message today, as a matter of fact, from Joe Donato, Premier Sports Cards. Now, I met Joe at the Mohegan Sun show, and the only time we ever set up together. And he messaged me saying, "Oh man, I'm gonna miss you at Mohegan in November because I'm doing a last show that day instead." So it's just those little things, those people reaching out, that you meet these people and they look forward to seeing you just like you look forward to seeing them. And that's, to me, that's what this hobby should be all about. Um, Always finding the fun and the love of what you're doing, right? And not worrying. It shouldn't be worrying about other things. If you're worrying about the price of the cards, or you're worrying, it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. If you've made an investment to something you love, then you shouldn't be worried about where the prices are, unless you bought that as a straight up flip, and now you may have to hold it longer than you wanted to. Um, to me, that's a business. That's not the hobby. I talked last week about always adjusting and fine tuning, um, and finding different lanes in the hobby. Always just adjusting, right? Just adjusting helps you stay diverse, meet new people all the time. And I don't think it's such a bad thing. Sometimes, when I'm talking to people who are not in the hobby about what I do, they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, you sound like you're all over the place. You were doing football, now you got some basketball, and you're talking soccer and golf." But you know what? I'm just meeting new people. I'm finding things that I like. I'm finding cards that I like, right? And I'm learning something new too. Um, the knowledge that I pick up from this stuff too. Like, I mean, I play golf. I've played tennis, but I've never really played an actual tennis game. I've just played tennis, right? But I'm learning about the players, uh, the golf cards, the men and the women. I'm learning about the players. Women's soccer, men's soccer. I'm learning about the players. I'm learning about what teams they are now. I'm preparing myself for World Cup. And then I can actually have a conversation with somebody now with this, saying, like I think this team is strong. I don't think this team's going to repeat. This is who I think is an outside. And I'm taking this from just looking into, just researching this stuff. But to me, it's fun. It's what I'm having fun doing this. And that, to me, is what the hobby should be. It just should be fun. Upcoming shows, keep talking about them. The last shows: La Quinta Inn and Suites, Secaucus, New Jersey, November 19th. So that is just a few weeks away now. The Westchester show in Tarrytown, New York, that's a 2-day. That's Thanksgiving weekend. That is Saturday and Sunday, November 26th, 27th. Garden State Card Show, Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey, December 10th. That's another last show. And the Big Apple Trading Card Show at the New Yorker, another last show. The New Yorker Hotel in New York City, and that is December 18th. And that is all I have for you this week. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please like, definitely subscribe, and most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. And until next time, be good to yourselves and everyone around you.